here we go. So day 5. Alright, we just went with the two girls, Slavia and Lena, I think, to pick some strawberries. I see the protagonist. I don't know, he's quite a dick, but the main character, I rowed the boat all over here and he got exhausted from rowing. Oh yeah, completely exhausted. I got out on the shore and looked at the boathouse. It seemed so far away that I felt like a first person on the moon watching the Earth rise. Doesn't look very far away, but I guess. Here you go. Slavia handed me a basket. It was a small island, barely 100 meters long, and it looked more like a birch grove with even rows of trees covering its entire surface. A calm green sea spread beneath our feet, with wind causing lonely waves on its surface from time to time. This island looked like a lost paradise. It's no wonder that the most delicious strawberries grow just here. We've got to split up. That way we'll do the job faster. Yeah, sure. But there are only 2 baskets, said Lena humbly. Oh, you're right. My bad. So how are we gonna split up then? Let's go with Slavia. I didn't want to walk here alone and hoped Slavia would join me, but I couldn't bring myself to ask. Well, it's obvious. 1 basket for me, 1 for you two. No, let me go with you, Slavia smiled. Okay. I was a bit surprised, but I was also glad that it turned out like this. Lena seemed to take no offense at all. The reaping has commenced. Strawberries were delicious here indeed. I could probably eat them all if I didn't stop myself in time. Despite being wild grown, the berries were close to the garden. Despite being wild grown, the berries were close to the garden ones in size and had a rich red color, so it was clear our visit here wasn't in vain. Slavia was walking right beside me as we only had the 1 basket. I felt like a mushroom picker looking under every shrub and searching through the grass carefully. Why not a strawberry picker? Pay attention. An entire bunch of strawberries had been left behind. Ah, yeah, I'm sorry. It's fine. You must enjoy being here, don't you? You like nature, after all. Of course I do, Slavia smiled. It reminds me of my home. We have similar beautiful birches there. She gazed dreamily somewhere into the distance. Look, I've always wanted to ask, what do you like in general? You look busy 24/7, and it seems like you have no time to rest at all. She started to think. I don't know, really. Doing a variety of activities is enjoyable for me. Well, that's understandable, but still. I like knitting and sewing. Sewing? Yeah, things like that. Slavia took a handkerchief out of her pocket. There were red, yellow, and green flowers embroidered on it. They were entangled with each other in a complicated way, creating sophisticated geometric forms. Such typical Russian handmade handkerchief. Glimpsing it, I instantly imagined Slavia dressed in an ancient sarafan, sitting on a bench inside a ramshackle house with a crowd of playing children running around. It's quite cute. Thanks. Let me give it to you as a gift. Such a proposal embarrassed me. Oh, you shouldn't. No, take it. I looked at the handkerchief once again and put it in my pocket. Thank you. There were so many strawberries here that after a mere half an hour, we had the basket filled up to the brim. Seems we're done. Yes. We got a lot, so surely it should be enough. When we got back to the boat, Lena wasn't there yet. She'd need more time to fill the basket by herself. Yeah, I guess so. We looked at the river. Sun sparkles, but sun sparkles happily dancing. Shouldn't that be one word? Sun sparkles? Happily dancing across the water surface were the only thing that distinguished it from a mirror. Well, the sparkles were the only... Oh, never mind. That's how calm the river seemed. What are you thinking about? Nothing really. And you? Me? What will happen once vacation is over? We'll have to leave this camp and go back to our homes. Will I ever see anyone I met here again? Will I ever see you again? She looked at me with her eyes so full of sorrow that I couldn't think of what to say. He had a moment there, talking about the outside world. It was, oh, what's your home like? Where do you live? Do we live close by to each other? But no, nothing. It's everything he cares about, getting out of solving this mystery, but when he gets an opportunity, he never takes it. Lena came out of nowhere, breaking the silence. Oh, you're done already. Here. She showed us a basket full of strawberries. Great, now we can go back. I still had Slavia's face and those words of hers on my mind. Sadness and sorrows weren't the kinds of emotions typical of her. Could she be hiding them all the time under a mask of cheerfulness? I had no answer to this question, and I knew I couldn't find one either way. Maybe later. The way back took less time as I tried to concentrate on rowing and ignoring everything else. My only wish was to get back alive, as the first trip hadn't gone without consequences, and now my hands started to hurt only after a few sweeps at the oars. Having tied up the boat, I fell to the ground with no energy left. Slavia and Lena leaned over to me. You could have said something if it was so hard for you. Yes. Never mind, it's fine. We'll just lie here for a bit and everything will be all right. Okay, then get those baskets to Olga, please. We have something else to do. Yeah, sure. I was ready to agree with anything at that moment just so I wouldn't have to get up. Slavia put the baskets full of strawberries next to me and headed to the square, happily chatting with Lena about something. The hardest part is done anyway. That's what I thought before I got up and took the baskets. After the rowing, they felt like cement bags. Yeah, I was wondering, if he was that tired in his arms, why would they ask him to take them? Why would he agree? He's gonna drop all the strawberries. It's gonna be all in vain. After rowing, they felt like cement bags, even while weighing barely more than a few kilograms each. So the trip to the camp leader's cabin took much longer than usual. I had to stop every 50 meters to have a rest. Once I finally made it, I put the baskets on the ground and sat on the deck chair with difficulty. Olga, I've got the presents for you. There was no answer. I barely managed to get up and enter the cabin. There was nobody in there. Don't need them? It's up to you. I lay down on the deck chair and fell asleep. I had a weird dream about the strawberry race. I was rowing a boat with my last ounces of strength, trying to escape huge berries that were chasing me. My hands were failing me, and I could barely see anything because of the sweat covering my face. Blood was hammering in my temples, but the strawberries were getting closer. They were baring their teeth at me. But wait, strawberries with teeth? Semyon, Semyon, Olga says. I woke up. Olga was standing beside me, shaking my shoulder. I see you got a rich harvest, didn't you? Yep, I tried my best. Thanks to the girls' help. Okay, but that's not all. Seriously. I was just anticipating the lovely rest I was about to have. Do you even know what these strawberries are for? Not a clue. I mean, to eat them? What an honest confession. We'll make a cake out of them. I see. Well, that makes sense. To honor the miraculous rescue of Shurik. And that's all thanks to you. It was clear that getting the strawberries wasn't the last thing left to do. And why, please tell me, if I'm such a hero, why do I have to organize the celebration in my name all by myself? Well, I guess so. I have an important task for you. We are missing yeast, flour, and sugar. And I need it all in the canteen before dinner. And those who will make the cake can't deal with it on their own somehow? I asked pitifully. Of course they can't. All of them are busy, and you're the only one in the whole camp who does nothing. Her words were partly true. That doesn't make it any easier for me now. Moreover, those words felt like a bullet to my head. So, write it down. You'll get the yeast in the infirmary, flour in the library, and sugar in the clubhouse. What? Wait, what? Why yeast in the infirmary, flour in the library, and sugar in the clubhouse? Why are those things not in the canteen? That makes no sense. Wait a minute. I have no time. I'm in a hurry. Good luck. She smiled slightly and left. Of course, there's a lot of strange things in this camp, but yeast in the infirmary? Okay, I can deal with that, but flour in the library and sugar? No, it's way beyond my comprehension. Spat on the floor. I don't want to, and I will not believe this. Just tell me you're pulling my leg. I would not be surprised if a crowd of fat green trolls would appear here right now beside me, with every one of them feeling obligated to laugh at me. So maybe to hell with this cake? Well, package delivery, I gotta go pick it up after lunch. Maybe before lunch? We'll see. So maybe to hell with this cake. I weighed my options for some time. No, if such a major plan of Olga's fell through, I'd be in a world of hurt. Really. And it would complicate both my life in the camp and my search for answers, which I've stopped for quite a while. Seems I have no choice. So let's go to the library. If every other place on the cake ingredient list made at least some sense to me, then flour from the library made none. I thought hard about who would put it in the library and why, but I couldn't find any sane explanation after all. Given Xenia's harsh nature, I'd better knock first. Open. Xenia peered at me closely from behind her glasses. What do you want? Don't think anything weird, but I didn't want to look like an idiot, and I decided to explain things carefully. I need some flour. Olga said it's here, and I understand that sounds strange to keep the flour in the library, but I was sent to you, and I need it for a cake to celebrate Chiric's rescue. Yes, I have the flour. What's so strange about it? Xenia replied with a surprise. At that second, I felt like I'd been hit on the head with a heavy weight and lost the ability to understand anything at all. Flower in the library? Sure, what's so strange about it? We're in Wonderland. I'm Alice. Now I'm gonna eat the magic mushroom and I'll be back home. Hey, yeah, I was daydreaming. Wait here, I'll be right back. She disappeared behind the bookshelves while I folded my hands and started waiting. A moment later, the sound of a trapdoor groaning on its hinges reached me. Hey, you need some help? I inquired loudly. I'll deal with it, Jenny barked out to me. She seems to be in the basement, so I'll have to wait a little. Okie dokie. A few minutes passed, but Shania still hadn't returned. I was starting to get worried when the door suddenly flung open and Lisa came into the library. She looked surprised too, seeing me here. What are you doing here? Am I not allowed to be here? I said rudely to her. Lisa was clearly a bit overwhelmed. What do I care? She snorted and headed to Shania's table. Why are you here then? Lisa measured me with her eyes carefully and almost opened the mouth to say something, but then she seemed to change her mind and turned away, hiding her hands behind her back. Returning a book, I blurted the first thing off the top of my head. It's none of your business, I replied with a hint of hesitation. What book is it? Lisa was silent. Oh, come on, let me see it. I wonder what Miss High Voltage Keep Away reads. It's none of your business. Her voice was even less confident. Oh, okay. I don't insist or anything. In fact, I was quite interested to find out what Alisa was reading. Moreover, I was quite amused to see a book in her hands. TV, movies, or computer. If one were available right here, all these things seemed to be much more appropriate entertainment for a girl like her. But she had a book instead. Vanguard. Curiosity killed the cat. Anyway, it's Elise, and that means it could quickly turn to a total mess. Plus, I still have the ingredients to collect. Well, I'll come later. Lisa left the library quickly without looking at me. It got me thinking, what this book could be about if she was so ashamed of it. And ashamed Elisa is something extraordinary by itself, but Elisa is ashamed about a book. Wait, is an ashamed Elisa extraordinary? I thought you got ashamed all the time. Oh well. But what's the point in guessing now? There's no way of finding anything out. Finally, Shania's deep groan rang out, reaching each and every corner of the library. Right. Past the bookshelves and behind the perspiring. Was she sweating? Librarian sitting near the trapdoor, leading into the basement with a small sack next to her. Well, they might have some sort of a storehouse down there. Thanks. I took the sack and left the library. Thank goodness it wasn't too heavy, so I carried it to Olga's cabin without much effort. Wait, what? You were gonna bring it to the canteen? Weird. Let's go to the clubhouse. I'm curious of Shurik. It feels like I've gone through more things today than all the previous days combined. Thus, approaching the clubhouse, I'd even forgotten to think about how awkward it must be to look for sugar there. Shurik and Electronic were enthusiastically building something. That a sex robot. They were so busy that they didn't even notice me. I looked closely. It was some kind of a robot, or at least the body of one. Moreover, this robot was female and had animal ears. I didn't want to make up theories about the purpose of such a device for luminaries of camp cybernetics. Even though the design looked practical, practically workable. I had my doubts about this robot ever being able to conquer Earth, or at least being able to do anything on its own. They seem to be enjoying the process more than the end result itself. And that was something we shared, even though I didn't want to admit it. On the other hand, they weren't afraid of possible failure, criticism, or jokes. They were working towards their goal without paying attention to others, who would call it unrealistic or even absurd. Oh, it looks like I'm truly comparing them to the luminaries of the sciences. Hey guys, I greeted them with uncertainty. Oh, Simeon, come in. We're always glad to see you. Was actually already inside. Sorry for what happened yesterday. I barely remember anything, but, well, never mind, it's okay. What brings you to our humble abode? Electronic looked at me slyly. Sometimes I feel like he makes such a face when knowing something about the other person, something he can use in a right moment. Sugar, I need sugar. An image from an ancient video game suddenly came into my mind where some kind of unit, like a builder or something, cried out with all its 5-pixel stature, "Gold! We need more gold!" "We got it," said Electronic calmly. "Why would you want it?" Felt that I shouldn't explain to Shurik that they want to bake a cake for him. I shouldn't spoil the surprise. "I don't know. Olga told me to get some." "Okay, hang on." Electronic disappeared behind the door to the next room. "Why do you have sugar here? Why not in the canteen?" When the food truck came last, it was the last thing to unload, and given that our building is the closest one to the entrance, they decided to leave it here to save some effort. That's reasonable, isn't it? Door opened, revealing Electronic holding a huge bag behind him. I really don't know what the size of the cake will be, but that's obviously too much sugar. "Well, thanks, but I don't need it all." "Well, just put it in the canteen." "But where would we put it?" Tom gave me a surprised look. "We don't have a place for it." "Yes, for sugar, so take it." Seems that the previous smile of his weren't there without a reason. "Maybe you'll help me then." "It's not that far to carry." "We're busy." He pointed his hand at the robot and gazed at Shurik. He owed me after all. He hesitated and looked away in shame. I sighed, took the bag, and headed towards the door. "Thanks anyways," he said, parting, exerting myself. But I didn't make it too far. Just after a mere 20 meters, I had to put the bag down to have a rest. I had no idea how much it weighed, but it felt more like 20 kilos. On the other hand, it was just 200 meters to the canteen. On the other hand, even such a distance with this payload on my shoulders, or alternatively my hands or my legs or under my arm or even my head, looked impossible for me to cover. As I resigned myself to moving minor sprints with prolonged pauses between them, so I could get there by night at least, I heard a voice behind me. "Maybe I could help you." I saw Lena in front of me. "I don't think you can." It was one of those moments when I felt painfully how dramatically I was out of shape. "I can bring a handcart." "A handcart? Why didn't I think of that myself?" "Yes, that would be great. Wait here, I'll be right back." She smiled and ran in the direction of the square. What would I do without her? It's a good thing Lena isn't always that shy and can take the initiative sometimes. I started to think. She seemed quite unusual now, with no trace of shyness on her face, and actually the complete opposite, with smiles and confidence. The offer of help wasn't something extraordinary by itself, but getting it from Lena. A few minutes later, she came back with a smallish handcart with a bag on it. "Thanks. Don't mention it." She blushed and looked down. "Oh, the Lena we all know is back, so I'll go then." Yeah, see ya. Thanks again," I shouted after her. Sometimes I felt like there are two different people living inside Lena. But the second one, confident and happy and sometimes even bold, only appears when she talks to me. Or am I making things up again? Oh, I thought that it would be better if I got all the ingredients at once, so I headed to Olga's cabin without the hand cart. I felt like I visited the infirmary too often recently, I agree. But what can I do? That's how things pan out. I slightly knocked at the door. Come in, the nurse said with a trace of a sing-song accent. Good afternoon. Olga sent me to get some. I hesitated slightly. Yes. Ah, sure. Give me a broad smile. Just that I don't have any. Pioneer. How so? She said that. Well, I had some, but now there's none left. I didn't even bother asking why she had it in the first place. Well, don't you worry. You can have some aspirin, for example. Could be of some use to me, actually. Where do I get it then? I sighed. Take this. She opened the drawer and pulled out some kind of bottle. Took a closer look. Ostankino was a well-known brand of cheap beer in the USSR. It was a beer. What's the matter? Beer is also a fermented product. She gave me a deep gaze. Nobody would even notice. She had a point, but everything just looked so grotesque to me that I couldn't find anything to say. Are you sure? Absolutely. Okay, then. The bottle clearly wouldn't fit in the pockets of my shorts. Oh, thanks. I mumbled shyly, leaving the infirmary. Well, beer certainly could replace yeast. Even my limited knowledge of chemistry and biology was enough to accept this. Well, I had no idea. But generally, walking around with this bottle in my hands looked like a silly idea to me. So I decided to bring it to Olga's cabin and hide it there. But I had to reach it somehow without anybody noticing the beer. I hid the bottle under my shirt. And everything would have been fine, but Slavia called out to me at the square. Actually, she sprang out from behind me so suddenly that I even gave a start. How's it going? What exactly? Your search for ingredients. Ah, so you know already. Yes, I do. Slavia smiled. It's going all right. I answered, trying not to give away my unrest. And what do you have there? I pointed at the bottle sticking out from under my shirt. Ah, this. She got me. Ah, it's nothing. I blushed with a silly giggle. It's time to go. I was almost running, leaving the square with the puzzled Slavia behind me. It's great that she's one of those people who don't ask unnecessary questions. Were they not allowed to drink beer in Pioneer Russia? I mean, he said they're all 18. And I started drinking. How old was I? Oh. Started drinking when I was like 17? Like really drinking. I don't know. There are people in this camp who no, 16. 16, I was 16. There are people in this camp who like nothing better than to poke their noses onto other people's business. Passing the pioneers' cabins, I stumbled upon Uliana. What are you hiding there? She gave me one of her cheeky looks. I thought there was no point in denying anything, so I replied in a provocative manner. It's none of your business. I'm a cipher officer bearing a message to headquarters. That's certainly a big message. I was carrying the bottle at waist height, so I was slightly embarrassed. Do you want some help? I'll deal with this on my own. I walked past her confidently and proceeded on my way. To my surprise, he didn't say anything nor try to pursue me. There was nobody at Olga's cabin, so I carefully managed to stuff the bottle under my bed. Once I got outside, I sighed with relief. Really, I couldn't believe that I would ever worry much about a single bottle of beer. Yeah, exactly. Why would he worry? Like I was back in high school. Oh, right, it was. Like he wasn't allowed. It's a good thing it's safe now. Even if somebody finds it, I'll claim that it's not mine. I could always think up a suitable excuse for my enormous experience. What? Finally, it seems that everything had been collected. I took the hand card with sugar outside, put the sack with the flour in it, followed by the 2 baskets of strawberries that somehow fitted in between. And the beer was hidden under my skirt, shirt, not skirt. Just the same, the day was coming to its end, so I had to hurry, as the cake itself will need some time to be baked. Of course, I'd rather enjoy lying down, closing my eyes, and getting a decent sleep, but I just couldn't let Olga down. Indeed, after all the trouble I had gone to, I even felt personally responsible for the success of this event. Coming to the square, I stopped for a moment to catch my breath. It wasn't that the cart was heavy; it ran smoothly without any noticeable effort required. It was just that any physical exertion caused pain to me now, both physical and a mental one. I sat down on the bench and closed my eyes for a moment. What's that? I didn't really give a damn about who it was. Probably some fellow pioneer girl taking an interest in an unfamiliar companion in distress. What are you talking about? I asked her tiredly. She didn't reply. Those are the ingredients for the cake. Do you like cakes? I don't know. What, you never tried cake? I don't know. Obviously, the girl didn't get what I was talking about, but that didn't surprise me at the moment. I really wasn't interested in the conversation. I was so tired that I had zero intention of classifying external distractions and tagging them as either common or uncommon. I see. Come down to the canteen later and have a bite. Really? Really. What are they made of? What? I asked him differently. These cakes. Well, some flour, some sugar, various fillings. Now that's a strange question. Doesn't she know what cakes are made out of? Do you have it all here? Yeah, sort of. Sugar and sugar. Could you lend me a little? What for? But it was over the top. Suddenly a gust of wind made me grab the cart instinctively, and I opened my eyes. However, nobody was there. Am I daydreaming? I noticed, though, that the sugar sack was untied and a small heap of it had poured out. Could it be that she was scared by the wind and ran away? Having fixed the sack, I got up from the bench and continued on my challenging strawberry way. There wasn't a single person near the canteen. No wonder dinner was still an hour away. I brought the handcart to the rear exit and handed the foodstuffs to the camp cook. She must have already been told what to do with them. She gave me such an unpleasant look. I'm not sure how long it takes to bake a cake, but it seems she had to hurry. I just wanted to relax from the remaining time up until dinner. In short, I was so tired that I just sat on the steps and waited. My eyes closed themselves. I guess I got so tired throughout the day that I didn't even notice how someone came up to me until they patted me on the shoulder. Hi, Nico was standing before me. Yeah, I didn't notice. I didn't need a mirror to imagine the expression of skepticism and annoyance on my face. Oh, excuse me, I must have interrupted you. Oh, no problem, I was just sitting here. Oh, all right then. Miko beamed with a smile. I was just coming to dinner. I thought that it's time already, and then it occurred to me that it's too early. But I decided to check in just in case. Maybe it's not me who's mistaken, but the clock is. Well, not the clock. Clocks can't be mistaken. It's just that I misread it. She seemed to be ultimately confused now. Fell silent. It's about half an hour before dinner. Oh, that's great. Then I'll sit here and wait with you if you don't mind. Frankly speaking, I do mind. You know, I have some matters to attend to. Stood up quickly and left without saying goodbye, ignoring Miku, as I always did while she screamed something after me. A minute later, I got to the square and sat down on the bench with the firm intention of finding a quiet and safe space to wait for dinner. I think this is the first time in the last 4.5 days when I felt like this. I wasn't just irritated because of some insignificant details, but indeed I was really angry. I've completely stopped caring about where I am and why I'm here. I don't care about how I got out either. What's driving me mad is that I always have to carry out some stupid task given by our camp leader, and it's always me who gets into stupid situations and sometimes even ends up looking like a clown. If all of this is an alien trick or a plot of the universal mind, they better consult with their psychiatrist. I gritted my teeth and clenched my fist. What are these strange situations talking about? The most annoying thing is that everything that happens seems to be happening by itself somehow. I'd be happier in not having to carry around a bag of sugar that weighed a ton, but I had no choice at all. I mean, any other option would lead to much, much worse consequences than a muscle strain or a hurt pride. Why is your pride hurt by carrying stuff around and helping out? Muscle strain, I get that he doesn't want to do it, but I don't get the pride part. Who are you angry with? Juliana was standing in front of me and smiled slyly. Nobody really, I answered absently, but my fists gave me away, just like that. Oh, okay, it's up to you. You better tell me, why did you run around the camp the whole day with some kind of bags? I had to, I replied reluctantly. I guess it was food. Maybe it was. Juliana was about to say something, but that moment the bell rang, calling pioneers for dinner. I sighed in relief and quickly headed to the canteen, leaving Juliana behind. Semyon, thank you very much. For what? For carrying all the bags? The camp leader gave me a friendly smile. For the cake, of course. Ah, sure. It was at that exact moment that I understood the true meaning of the saying, keep our thanks to feed your cat. Keep your thanks. Wait, what does that mean? Keep your thanks to feed your cat. So don't thank me. Spend that and I don't get it. You didn't tell anybody. This ought to be a surprise. Yeah, that's my boy. Now, off you go to dinner. Olga waved her hand, pointing at the canteen. Stepped through the doorway and slowly started to look for a free place. It turned out there were plenty today, so I got the chance to eat all alone. There was fish with mashed potatoes for dinner. There were? What misfortune, once again, to be left half hungry. Well, you're gonna get cake. And didn't we have lunch for fish today? Is it a fish only day today? Having pushed my plate with the fried sea dweller away, I laid my head on my hands and closed my eyes. But soon somebody came up to the table. Hey, are you all right? Fine, I replied without shaking. Positions, just tired? Yeah, a little. That's bad. David said seriously. Of course. You remember that we're going for the hike after the dinner, don't you? Have you prepared everything? What? Where? I opened my eyes and lifted my head instantly. Lena was standing by Slavia. A hike. She was surprised. Don't you know? No? I put my head down on the table and covered it with my hands. If only I could sink into the ground right away. The ghost remained silent. I was left alone with my thoughts for some time, and that was fine by me. Ooh. Maybe I could have sat away. Maybe I could have sat that way until the end of dinner time, but the strong voice of Olga was heard from the opposite end of the canteen. Guys, to celebrate the miraculous rescue of our friend and comrade Shurik, we baked a cake for all of you. For you all. I lifted my head idly and looked towards the camp leader, but I couldn't see anything beyond the pioneers' backs. Second. Just a second, and nothing about me rescuing Shurik or gathering the ingredients for the cake. As if that's how it ought to be. Well, it could be wrong to expect anything else from our camp leader. Feeling whiplash here. Did he want all the attention on himself? Let's go. We won't get our share, Slavia smiled. Let's go, Lena agreed. Yeah, sure. Got up reluctantly and tagged along behind the girls. As we approached the crowd of pioneers, Olga was just putting the cake in the center of the table. And now, the camp leader wasn't able to finish as Uliana rushed out from the pioneer crowd and dived into the cake. She managed to nibble it a few times before she was pulled away. She was kicking and screaming. I stared blankly from the outside at all this drama. Alisa smiling, Lena picking up some cream with her finger, all the furious pioneers around. I felt completely out of place here. I thought that if I closed my eyes now and opened them again, here I am, back to the safety of my apartment in front of the computer. But no. I blinked, but nothing changed. Only the noise and the confusion became sharper. Juliana, that's the limit. Well, in fact, behaving like this, a bit over the top even for her. Shurik broke into the conversation. Or is it a court-martial? Please, Olga, since the cake is celebrating my return, it's no big deal. He hesitated. It doesn't matter. Camp leader turned to Uliana. And you, today I'm gonna punish you to the fullest extent, so you'll behave the next time. Whatever. She snorted and turned back. You won't be going on the hike with us tonight. As if I wanted to. I was more than willing to switch places with Uliana and skip the hike instead of her. But who knew? If I had have guessed beforehand, I would have been the first one to go berserk and smash the damn cake. After a couple of minutes of confusion, the pioneers started to disperse. You have to get ready too. There will be a lineup in the square in half an hour. I looked straight into the eyes of the camp leader, trying to express my attitude non-verbally, but it seemed that I failed. Don't be late. Liana was sitting at the table when I approached her on my way to the exit. So, why did you do it? She looked very upset, but she had a right to be so. I wanted to, Liana replied abruptly. So you're happy now? Of course I am. And you, good luck with the hiking. She smiled mischievously, sprang up, and rushed out of the canteen. Well, a little bit of luck wouldn't hurt. Walk and you shall reach is exactly what this proverb was. It was exactly this proverb that kept whirling in my head, all the way down to camp leader's cabin. Somehow I just couldn't manage to argue, to pretend that I'm sick, or just skip it with no reason. Why not skip the dance with no reason? The events of this day taught me submissiveness. Although sometimes whatever was happening made no sense to me. As I walked in, I had a thought. Well, in fact, how should I get ready? Clothes? I only have an overcoat and a pair of jeans. Anyway, I forgot to ask whether it's going to be an overnight hike or not. I couldn't think of anything better, so I grabbed the sweater that I had on me when I arrived at camp. The night might be fairly chilly, and shuffled slowly off to the square. All the camp was already there, although it was about 10 minutes before the time Olga had designated. I settled down near the edge and waited patiently. Night was falling. Viewed from the outside, what a fairly comical picture we would make. A crowd of pioneers lined up out of sheer habit, like they were awaiting a silent command from the bronze Genda. And all this happening in the scarlet rays of the sunset. And there he is, waving his hand, screaming attack, as roaring soldiers with red neckerchiefs charge into the battle against some ghostly enemy. But Olga showed up and started to talk instead of Genda. It seems everybody's here. Great. I was so tired that I couldn't even think about anything, so I ended up just listening to the camp leader. Now, today we'll go hiking. It is essential for every pioneer to be able to come and rescue his comrade, to offer a helping hand in the hour of need, saving them from a hopeless situation. We have to learn to do all these things together. A whisper that ran through the pioneer crowd suggested that probably this truly epic expedition would end in a clearing in the forest, several hundred feet away from the square. I thought so too. We'll walk in pairs, so if you haven't chosen a partner for yourselves yet, now is the time to do so. Pioneers quickly caught on to the idea and started to match in pairs. It looked like I was the only one without a partner. Slavia was enthusiastically discussing something with Olga. Lena was with Miko. Electronic was, of course, with Churik. Well, it might be not a bad idea to go alone after all. Simeon, the voice of the camp leader, pulled me out of my thoughts. I went up to her reluctantly. I see you haven't found a partner. Seems like it. Then you'll join Xenia. She's alone too. I was struck with that special kind of despair that only a true loner can experience. So it appears that I'm left with a prickly librarian that I wouldn't risk spending a couple of hours with, even if I was paid for it. Alright. Let's cut this day. Short for the day. Save the game. Yes. And we're done for today. Well, not complete.